I've not heard the word disrespect used nearly as much this week as we have in previous weeks, except for people pointing out how it was ridiculous, some of the things that some New Zealand media were coming out with ahead of the first test against France. What are we going to see in the second test? The teams have been announced. I'm already looking forward to this one in Hamilton, and Fabien Galthié sending out an even greener team against what looks to be a pretty ominous team in black. I don't think the result will be close this time. Spoiler alert in terms of my predictions. I'll come to that towards the end. There is the All Black team. And do you know what I like? There's a couple of things I like about Scott Robertson. I liked, as I mentioned last week, I liked that now he's got his feet under the desk a little bit. And with the World Cup being 2 years away, he's starting to evolve this All Black team a little bit. And he made a couple of bold calls, made some changes, got some fresh blood in. I like that. And the other thing I really like is that having done that and having been run really, really close by an inexperienced French team, which really was a C team, not a B team would be over egging the pudding. No panic from Razor, and he's holding course, and he's showing faith in a lot of those guys. And I like that as well. Couple of changes for the ABs, both of them enforced in the starting 15, and two players coming into the squad from outside to replace them. Scott Barrett is out injured, so Patrick Tuipulotu is in. He comes in from outside the 23, meaning that, and again, one of those examples of Razor sticking to his guns and holding course. He could have just put Samapeni Finau up from the bench into the starting team, moved Tupu Vai back to lock. But he's kept faith with Vai at 6, and he's brought Tuipulotu alongside Fabian Holland, who, by the way, Fabian Holland, I went back and watched the game, really, really impressed with him. He looks, I know it's a crazy thing to say at this stage, but given there's been some generational talents for New Zealand that they've recently retired in Whitelock and Retallick, he's got the ceiling that you feel like he could be. I'm not saying he's going to be as good. It's really early to say, but I would be very, very excited about the future with Fabian Holland in the engine room. I mean, the line-out itself, just taking one pure functional set-piece element, aside from Fabian Holland being an absolute unit, 20 out of 20 at line-out time. Not too shabby. The other change in the 15 is Caleb Clark coming back in, talking about units, coming in for Sevu Reece. And Razor has kept faith with Billy Proctor. He could have joggled his deck. He could have brought D-Mac into fullback and moved Will Jordan to the wing. He could have gone back to Rico Ioane at outside centre. Billy Proctor, I didn't think, some people have said he had a really bad game. I didn't think he had a bad game. I think it was relatively unremarkable. There's maybe one or two mistakes, but there's some nice signs as well. And we've seen great signs in Super Rugby, so I'm excited to see what Billy Proctor can do. Kept faith with him at 13, with Tavatava Nawai coming in on the bench. Still getting used to saying that name. He comes in on the bench and a really, really exciting prospect as well. So another potential debut for the ABs. And yeah, talking about continuing, Christian Leo Willie, he did some decent things, showed his sort of greenness at this level a little bit last week. He continues to. I like it. One thing I will say about this New Zealand team, now in the build-up to the Rugby World Cup 2023, I was talking up that by the end of the World Cup, we would be looking at the ABs as having the best front row in the world. I thought they were primed and ready to just explode and emerge, and actually South Africa just went, hold my beer. We've still got this. So maybe I'll stop short of making bold predictions, but I think New Zealand are tracking to potentially have the best pack in the world. They are absolutely massive. I still think second row is a little bit not at the level, but the front row and replacements, the back row options are starting to build. Potentially, if some of these players deliver on the international stage what they have with their franchises, then we could be getting towards, fast forwarding a couple of years, one of the most fearsome packs in the world, if it's not already there. And it's absolutely massive, particularly when you think Tamaiti Williams. And when you've got Takeaho, Williams and Tosi off the bench, that is absolutely gargantuan. they can all play as well. They're not just massive units. They can all scrummage and play ball. Backs, I think they've got some absolute elite players. As a unit, a little bit of bedding in to do. Let's see what they can do in this game. As for the team that they're going to be playing in France, well, I mean, Fabien Galthier's gone, okay, well, you just sneaked past our C team. So let's see how you do against our D team. That's actually unfair, to be fair. The backs for France is a level up on where they were last week. But in the forwards, 7 changes. Only Captain Barlow continues. The rest completely changed. Some of them, because they've arrived from France later than the rest of the group, that they were involved in the top 14 final, playing for Toulouse and Bordeaux. But when you sort of think, oh yeah, that France are going to be sending over 5 players from Bordeaux and Toulouse, you think, oh, amazing. But they're debutants for the most part. So let me go through the pack. It's a debut for Erdesio. Colombe has played before, but he will have memories, and New Zealand will certainly have memories about playing against Georges-Henri Colombe. Big old unit. Terrible scrummager. And he got folded like a deck chair by the New Zealand pack in Paris. And France still managed to somehow win that game. But Colombe got absolutely ruined. So he will need to prove himself at tight head prop. Joshua Brennan and Halagahu are both on debut in the second row. 2 young guys. Halagahu has established himself as a regular starting lock for Toulon alongside Dave Ribbons. And Joshua Brennan was basically been a backup player for Toulouse, but he's fought his way more and more into the starting lineup. He's had a really strong season, and he's now playing for the national team. So really good for him. Boscheton, debut, 24 years of age, really good player for Bordeaux. Van Tonder got his first start off the bench last week. Sorry, he gets his first start. He got his first match off the bench last week. And it's a debut for Abadi of Toulon. When you think that the best players on that French team last week were Fischer, Tixeron in the back row, and, you know, they've never played for France before. You give 2 guys their debut, they do brilliantly. Go on then, put your feet up for this one. And 2 more debutants come into the back row. It is absolutely nuts. When you think in the back line, Joris Segond is playing only his 2nd ever test at fly half. And he is going to put the bombs up once more. He is going to put the bombs up. New Zealand will know the aerial threat that is coming their way. And France put the pressure on. And they're going to... And maybe that's one of the reasons for so many changes in the pack. Because that pack worked their nuts off. Just chasing back and forward, putting pressure on, putting in massive shots. Le Garrec, being the most experienced player in the in the 15, in the starting 15, is nuts. It's his 13th cap. And he's probably 4th choice French scrum half right now. Maybe 3rd. Insane. But elsewhere in the back line, I will say, to the half, you know, Le Garrec's good. Segond is early in his career and he's good at kicking. Not a big distributing 10, but a brilliant kicking 10. So there'll be lots and lots of kicking going on. But outside him, that back line they're all legit. They're all in the French squad. They wouldn't necessarily all start in a first choice French team, but they would be close. So that it's kind of a French B team when it comes to the backs, and maybe a D team when it comes to the forwards. But Leo Beret at fullback, brilliant in the air. Atisogbe showed how good he was in the air, and obviously rapid at fullback last week. He's on the wing, and his Pau teammate Emilien Gueton is a centre, but really good on the wing. And with Nicolas Deportier in from Bordeaux and Barassi in from Stade Toulousain, you've got some class there, and really, really quite big. Deportier, like 6'2", 6'3", maybe even taller than that. Gueton, 6'4". Barret's a big unit. Atisogbe's really tall. So I see France going for the air again, trying to dominate territory. However, I maybe see France sticking close to New Zealand for a bit, but I think New Zealand are going to put them to the sword this week. When you look at the stats from last weekend, you saw, what was it? Like New Zealand had loads and loads of 22 entries. They had loads of territory, loads of possession. but they just did not convert. And France's defence was heroic. But if with that kind of pressure, you play the game 10 times with those sorts of stats, and 9 times out of 10 you win by at least 20 points. So I see New Zealand winning by 26 points. Let's say that. New Zealand by 26. More than 3 scores. But let's see what France can do. Can their pack stand up to the physical challenge that's coming their way again? Not long to find out.